Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached 11 million streaming views, and Queer News Tonight has been the most watched LGBTQ news and lifestyle show in the world in 2025.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the LGBTQ community. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Monday, September 1st. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Happening Out is one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, in the same model as PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate on the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture.
Our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience. Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 11,000 LGBTQ streaming stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fete. Our nonprofit 501c3 magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2025, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show in support of the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Bobby Huen. A world traveler and well-versed in global affairs, Bobby provides an international perspective on current events. A PhD in conflict resolution, Bobby is certified civil and family mediator and the founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you, Yvonne. Glad to be here. And happy Labor Day, everyone.
Yes. And now let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBTQ Hall of Fame. Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. And it's always great to have your opinion at the table.
And I have several, so it'll be a good night.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Von Biggs. He is a community engagement and outreach coordinator at Holy Cross Health, a vice chair of the Ryan White Part A Planning Council, and a board member of Trans Ed and Harmony Waves. Thank you for being here, Vaughn.
Absolutely. Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up health. The politics of health leads HHS to cancel $12 million sex ed program. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has canceled a $12 million grant for California's sex ed curriculum over what they say in a press release is a lesson plan that will, quote, encourage kids to contemplate mutilating their genitals, end quote. In reality, the curriculum states that some people may not feel like the gender they appear on the outside. The letter from HHS claims that gender ideology is irrelevant to teaching abstinence and contraceptive and unrelated to any of the adult preparation subjects. That the grant covers. Acting Assistant Secretary to HHS's Administration for Children and Families, Andrew Gradison, spoke about this issue on Fox News saying, quote, if you continue to push radical ideology on our children, we will not pay for it anymore, end quote. Gradison added that about 40 more states will soon be put on notice regarding their PrEP curriculum. I did say prep. Quote, stop indoctrinating the next generation. They deserve better. They need to learn how to read and write, not this anti-science agenda, end quote. The Federal Personal Responsibility Education Program, or PREP as they're calling it, which this grant was part of, supports states in teaching students about contraception and abstinence. It is also intended to educate students on adolescent development, parent-child communication, and healthy relationships, and other topics in which gender identity is a vital part of the subject matter. You know, we're seeing this happening more and more in our country, but we're also seeing a lot of students that are now going into college that have no idea. They have no idea when it comes to, protection, sex, abstinence. They're not taught any of it.
This is a legacy that's I'm not going to attribute only to Trump administration, but also to the Bush second administration. You know, the abstinence-only education, which wrecked sexual education, and end up hiking teenage mothers' birth rates, end up basically spreading this STIs, across the board, and lead to now a few generations of college kids who walk into college understandably sexually active, but not knowing how to protect themselves in any way. I mean, when I was in school, and this is eons ago, we were taught about condoms. Well, granted, I went to a private school, so it wasn't a public school curriculum. Plus, also $12 million for California. Oh, let me think, where can California find that $12 million? The fourth largest economy in the world outside of the United States. I'm pretty sure Gavin Newsom can just throw a pile of money and correct that problem. And I think rich blue states should do that for themselves. And you've red states, students don't know how to take care of themselves. Then the state will have to deal with it, don't they?
And did you catch Gradison's resting bitch face? Oh my God!
He is contraception.
It looked like he was getting ready to do a glamour shot or something. I'm sure there is a glamour shot.
No, a look at him is contraception.
Lingerie somewhere, and the cancellation of a sex. Look at that puss. Makes me look good. The cancellation of a sex education program sounds like an anti-science agenda, if there ever was one.
There wasn't, and the whole idea of that anti-science is that the conservative talking point is, what is a woman? What is a woman? What is a woman? Like as if it is gotcha. You can't define what a woman is. Therefore, you're anti-science. You're ignorant. There's only two genders. Look, gender science and sex are two different things.
Very different.
We know that already.
Yes.
But because of the general ignorance of the public at large about sex and gender, they can spin this into this quote unquote ideology. It is not ideology, it is science. They are facts. And of course, this administration like to ignore facts. They like to ignore climate science. They like to ignore vaccine science.
They're the ones with the radical ideology, by the way. It's them.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up business. New study shows how pro-LGBTQ and DEI helps business. Conservatives love to use the term, quote, go woke and go broke, end quote. But a new study shows that the opposite may be true. Research by the Human Rights Campaign and Whistle Stop Capital that analyzed nearly 2 decades worth of data from the HRC's Corporate Equality Index and corporate earnings shows that companies that embrace DEI are more profitable than companies that don't. The analysis demonstrates that companies with high CEI scores saw greater cumulative revenue growth than low-scoring companies over a 15-year period. Over a 10-year period, top-scoring companies reported average net income more than 8 times higher than their lowest-scoring peers. Additionally, higher CEI scores were linked to greater gross profit and more stable share price performance, suggesting more consistent, long-term investor confidence. Whistle Stop Capital founder Meredith Benton said of the findings, quote, the data supports a thesis that we consider intuitive. Companies don't grow by excluding talent or consumers. Those companies with long-term high CEI scores are seeing the benefits of a virtuous cycle. Companies with strong relationships to the Pride community have built valuable workplace cultures, reputations, and brands over time, end quote. HRC President Kelly Robinson said, quote, "This new data confirms what we have long known, fairness and inclusion, power innovation and growth. That's why the HRC Foundation's Corporate Equality Index was born more than 20 years ago. When businesses embrace LGBTQ plus equality in their policies and their practices, they're not just doing the right thing for their employees and their consumers. They're positioning themselves to outperform, out-innovate, and outlast their competitors," end quote. Queer News Tonight proposes that a new saying should be, quote, "Ditch DEI and watch your company die," end quote. I don't have anything to say to that.
Well, for one thing, that has already been true. For example, Target. Target famously donated to the inauguration and, back off from DEI after a bunch of very vocal and violent conservatives march into their stores and knock around and harassing the employees and, try to burn down the Pride collection, and oh wait, the boycott worked. And now after 2 quarters, or at least 2 quarters of stunning decline in revenue, their CEO is forced out, part of it because of him deleting DEI from their policies. Target, you should learn that lesson well. Learn from Target. And secondly, look at Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel today announced that they are deleting their DEI after conservative backlash furiously about their logo change. They're also reverting back to the logo. So now you're going back to the logo that has a cracker and the barrel. Now, and also, those with long enough memories will remember that Cracker Barrel is the subject of one of the highest profile anti-gay discrimination case, where the previous CEO a gazillion years ago in the 90s, literally witch hunt and fired LGBTQ people from their company. En masse. That led to lawsuits, that led to a settlement. But yet, if I remember correctly, even today, Cracker Barrel's CEI is only 30 out of 100.
I had to explain to an old Dizzy Queen friend that Crate and Barrel was okay, but Cracker Barrel wasn't. So,
Cracker Barrel is also cheese. The cheese is fine. The cheese is fine. Yeah. Just the restaurant is no.
And I'm loving ditch DEI and watch your company die. I want that on a bumper sticker.
That's too, no. I think just switch the name. Just switch one word. Go woke or go broke. You have a choice. Right. Either or. Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Bobby Huen, and let's queer up politics. Trump's MAGA A-gays are running Capitol Hill, and here's the who's who of them. Donald Trump has proven over and over again that he is opposed to LGBTQ rights and protections. Despite that, there is a group of ultra-wealthy conservative gays who have surrounded him during his second term as president. They used a few pro-gay actions of Trump's past, like allowing log-cabin Republicans the honor of paying to host an event at Mar-a-Lago, as proof of his allyship. Advocate Senior Editor John Casey described these, quote, A-gays as, quote, a grotesque display of hypocrisy, delusion, and self-importance. These poor excuses for gay men have chosen to bow before the federal administration that is taking a knife to the LGBTQ plus community, end quote. These A-gays include individuals who have either paid Trump with zealot-like loyalty or his favorite form of flattery, cash, to be included in his circle. They include former leader of Log Cabin Republicans, Charles Moran, who is now Associate Administrator for External Affairs for the National Nuclear Security Administration. Peter Thiel, the tech billionaire who helped fund both Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance's campaigns, longtime Republican political pollster Tony Fabrizio, former public relations consultant Richard Grenell, who is now the interim candidate Senate president, Jacob Halberg, who donated $1 million to his 2024 campaign and who in return is nominated as Undersecretary of State for Economic Growth, Energy, and the Environment by Trump, and now serves as a commissioner for the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission, among others. New York Times reporter Sean McCreish wrote, quote, they argue that the battle for gay rights has basically been won and that there has never been a Republican as friendly to the gays as Donald J. Trump. end quote. Well, first of all, let's see how friendly he is when the Supreme Court of his own nomination is about to strike down Oberger versus Hodges. So all your marriages will become invalid. And secondly, can we talk about how, all of these are token? You really think about it. None of these people actually are served in high position. The longer your title is, the less important you are in the government.
Right.
President, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State. Let me go back up.
Right.
Let me go back up. The commissioner for the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission. Or the Undersecretary of State for Economic Growth, Energy, and the Environment. These are the long names. Yeah. They are far low on the totem pole, and these are basically consolation prize. They are the rice-a-roni of government positions, and probably a few of these doesn't even need a Senate approval, so they can just put. And also, Richard Grenell got the ultimate consolation prize, the interim president of the Kennedy Center, which is not even government institution, or at least not a governmentally. They're just injected, and also, they are just basically token representation, so that when real people attack him on his stance on LGBTQ rights, they can trot these people out and say, look, I have gays in my government, so I'm not homophobic at all. Like, I have token black and Latino people, doesn't mean that I don't kidnap them off the street and send them to El Salvador.
Right. Let's be clear. These imbeciles are not gay. They are homosexuals, and self-loathing homosexuals at that. I'd say that their behavior is shameful, but they have no pay. So no shame. At the very least, they are gay for pay to play, because they've all bought their titles. Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up drag culture. Drag Race versus the World announces next destination. Oi, oi, oi. Who's the top queen in the world? That's the question that Drag Race Down Under versus the World hopes to answer. Following in the footsteps of RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World and Canada's Drag Race Canada versus the World, the Drag Race Down Under series will feature host and main judge Michelle Visage, as she is joined by Australian comedian Reese Nicholson and Drag Race Down Under Season 4 winner Lazy Susan, as queens from Australia and New Zealand go head-to-head with other queens from around the world. Fenton Bailey and Randy Barbado, the co-founders of World of Wonder, said in a statement, quote, "We couldn't be more excited to expand the Drag Race legacy. We are going totally glocal as local legends face off against global icons." Get it? Down Under versus the World promises a season packed with unfiltered moments, fashion, and lip syncs that will leave no lash unglued, end quote. Drag Race Down Under versus the World will be coming soon to WOW, aka World of Wonder Presents Plus. I have to say, every time I hear the latest World of Wonder creation, I feel a special sense of pride because Randy Barbado is a fellow Emerson College alum. And it just makes me feel all warm inside, because usually it's like a icicle. So thank you.
I think it's great. The word that was used earlier, I thought was fantastic, and that's legacy. And it makes me think, of RuPaul, and it's like, who would have thunk, right? Who would have?
These years later.
When you look back to the first season, and you're like, oh, that's a hot mess.
We've come a long way, baby.
Yes, we have.
At least you have him. All I got is you only got Bill O'Reilly. Well, also we got Rosie O'Donnell, but she dropped out.
Those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. These anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, We must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That's the passion of Hot Swats Magazine, happening on television network and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Von Biggs, and I wish you a fabulous evening on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Bobby Huen and Gregg Shapiro. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. to our LGBTQ world. We hope you will join us by embracing love, generosity, bravery, be transformative, and be queer. Good night.